In the name of Allah, the most merciful, all praise is due to Allah. May Allah peace and the blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad, his family, his companions, and upon all previous prophets, Moses and Jesus and Abraham. We are Muslims, we make no difference among all of them. وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ. After discussing the general objective of the 5 pillars of Islam, which is to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to teach the ummah to unite, we have a specific purpose for each pillar. If we start with the first pillar, which is the first pillar of Islam, which is ash-shahada, testimony, which means is to testify or to certify that there is no one to be deserved to be worshipped except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that the Prophet Muhammad is his messenger. These 2 things of shahada, or these 2 parts of shahada, that if a person would like to be a Muslim, he must believe in them. And we just have been mentioned. It doesn't mean that you believe that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is to believe in the Prophet Muhammad. It doesn't mean that you do not believe in other prophets. As we just talked about, the 6 pillars of the faith is yet to have, you have to believe in all previous prophets. You believe in Prophet Muhammad as the last prophet. But we still believe that you have to believe that in Moses and Jesus and Abraham, we have to believe in all previous prophets. That we make no difference among them, but you still believe that no one to be deserved to be worshipped except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah has been sent down all of these prophets to deliver his message.
Created the plants and trees, He created the birds and bees, He created the oceans and seas, some of His many bounties.
One of most important objective behind the Shahada is to remind us that the main purpose of the life is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That, as we had just mentioned earlier, that وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, that the main purpose, that we have created men and jinn for nothing except to worship me.
وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. And I did not create the jinn and mankind except to worship me.
So the main purpose for our life, for the creation, for the creation or for creating the creatures, is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another objective or another aim and goal and objective for a shahada or testimony, that you give a complete surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a complete submissive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what is the Arabic mean, or what is the Arabic mean for the word Islam. Islam in Arabic means peace and submission. So the word Islam in Arabic, it comes from the word salam, and salam means peace. That's why we always say that Islam is a religion of peace. Regardless of what they say, regardless of what some media would like to spread about Islam, whether Islam is the religion of terrorism or Islam, the true image of Islam is that Islam is a religion of peace. Because the word Islam comes from the word salam, which means peace. Another meaning for the word Islam is the submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why one of the most important objective of the first pillar of Islam, which is Shahada, after or besides, it reminds us of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and that no one deserves to be worshipped except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that Shahada give us the sense that to complete, or it makes us complete surrender to Allah's will. It makes us totally submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is a true meaning of the word Islam. It also makes a person feel more liberated, more free, that he's free from worshipping anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has created him. As for the second pillar of Islam, and the main objective and the main purpose behind the second pillar of Islam, which is performing prayer. We just mentioned that the second pillar of Islam, as the Prophet Muhammad and Islam and the Quran clarifies, is that we have to pray and perform a prayer 5 times daily. And these 5 times, as we just say, the dawn prayer, Salat al-Fajr, the noon prayer, Salat al-Zuhri, afternoon prayer, which is Salat al-Asri, sunset prayer, which is Salat al-Maghrib, and the Isha prayer, which comes after twilight. These 5 prayers that all Muslims are performing on the same time at a particular time, we said that it enriches the sense of brotherhood, the unity, the equality for the Muslims Ummah. It makes all people are stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala equally. No difference among all of people that are worshipping only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as all of them are the slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, worshipping only one who created them. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the main purpose behind the salah. For those who worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and performing prayer 5 times, it's impossible for him to do any misgood deeds. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةِ إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنكَرِ وَلَذِكْرُ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ.
اتل ما أوحي إليك من الكتاب وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate, recite what has been revealed to you of the book and establish prayer. Indeed, prayer prohibits immorality and wrongdoing, and the remembrance of Allah is greater, and Allah knows that which you do.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that verse saying that after giving a direct order to the Prophet Muhammad to teach his ummah to perform a prayer, aqim as-salah, which is establishing and performing prayer. Why? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the purpose of iqamat salah, or performing prayer, in the same verse, saying that inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar, that is salah prevents the worshipper, prevents those who are brave for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from al-fahsha, from the shameful deeds, wal munkar, from unjust deeds, from all the great sins that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. So that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the great sins that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to avoid and keep away from it. In a lot of things that clarify that Islam, that for example, Siyam or the fasting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam clarify that the purpose behind these pillars is not only to make such movement, even though scientific research is saying that such movement that while making in the prayer give us positive energy. and it makes us healthy. Although a lot of scientific researches tells us the ummah and tells people that fasting and preventing and avoiding eating and drinking makes the people healthy, but still Islam and the Quran, the Sunnah, tells his follower that we still have a deep purpose, we still have a wisdom behind that. That the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, من لا ينهاه صيامه عن قول الزور فلا حاجة لله في أن يدع طعامه وشرابه. In that hadith, that whoever worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by fasting, for example, or by prayers, but still this act of worship doesn't prevent him from doing misdeeds or bad deeds or shameful or injustice, still nothing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not make any benefit of these. So the main purpose behind this act is to prevent us from al-fahsha, from the shameful deeds, from the great sins, from doing anything which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us to avoid. Wal-munkar, from unjust deeds. So if we do not, if we still keep doing such movement while we are praying 5 times a day, and we do not, we still insist doing bad deeds, this is indicating that, this is a clear sign indicating that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not accept our worshipping and the prayer.
اتل ما أوحي إليك من الكتاب وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate, recite what has been revealed to you of the book and establish prayer. Indeed, prayer prohibits immorality and wrongdoing, and the remembrance of Allah is greater, and Allah knows that which you do.
The pillars of Islam teaches us and develop us specific senses in the Muslim community and in the human being. So the main purpose, as we just said, is to worship and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we still have senses of development of being solidarity and being avoiding selfishness and being loving to each other and helping each others. But for more information about the purpose behind the pillars of Islam, dear viewers, dear respected viewers, follow us for next episode of your program Revelation.